Thanks for tuning in to A Better World, where we aim to illustrate that today is the greatest time to be alive and show the progress we're making as a civilization. I'm your host, Luis Acevedo, and in today's episode, we're going to be going over an article that I read from Daily Caller. It is titled, Congressman Introduces Legislation Meant to Save Over $1 billion in Inactive Funds. And this congressman, he is from Alabama, represents Alabama. His name is Gary Palmer. And he has introduced a bill to rescind $1.6 billion from the United States Enrichment Corporation Fund. Now, like most of you, I had no clue what this fund was, nor that it even existed. Not only that, but that we had $1.6 billion of taxpayer money sitting idle, not being used. I had no clue about that until I read this article and I found out that this fund was established along with the Energy Policy Act of 1992. Basically what it is the USEC was established so that way we could help provide uranium to government services and utilities to nuclear power plants. And so that was the original intent for this, but only 4 years after this was implemented did it go private. So in 1996, the USEC Privatization Act came about. So basically meaning that the USEC was no longer getting taxpayer money and it was moved to the private sector. So that means, like I stated earlier, this money has been sitting idle for a long, long time. And actually, Congressman Palmer is not the first person to even bring this up. This has been brought up on 2 different occasions. The first occasion was by the Government Accountability Office. And if you're not sure what they do, they are essentially the congressional watchdogs. And they just make sure, and they just track how the federal government is spending the taxpayer money. They audit and investigate it. And back in 2015, they said the same thing as Congressman Palmer, that they should rescind that money because it's just sitting there idly. It's doing nothing. It's doing nobody any good. That's $1.6 billion that could be used right now. So the Government Accountability Office back in 2015 made the same suggestion as Congressman Palmer. And then there was another act that had nothing to do with this USEC at all, really. It was basically more of like a tax act more than anything else, and it was called the Strong Family Act. And they also called to rescind this. But this bill was introduced in 2017, and the Senate has yet to say anything about it or do anything about it. But the bill that Congressman Palmer has put up is, I believe, it will help open up eyes to the fact that we probably have a lot more money just sitting idly within our government institutions than we realize. And now we actually have people and institutions within the government saying, you know what? We need to do something about these funds that are not being used so that way we can better help the taxpayers and fulfill their needs. And so one thing that I really do like about his bill is that he is not trying to deceive anybody, and you can tell that there are no bad intentions with it, because literally, this is the bill. It is Bill H.R. 670, and this is the entire bill. I'm about to read it to you. Permanently rescind unobligated amounts in the United States Enrichment Corporation Fund. That is it. One line. A one-line bill stating, hey, let's rescind these funds so that way the money's not sitting idly and we can use it. to help taxpayers out. And yeah, and he also brought up a good point too, that we're borrowing millions of dollars every day when we have nearly $2 billion just sitting there. So, although this is a little bit of bad and good news, I think it's more so good because it's bringing attention to money that is not being used at all, or maybe in the future this can lead to misappropriating funds for different things. So allocating funds that were not supposed to go somewhere, and catching that. And I feel that in today's political climate, with all of the mainstream media drama aside, the theatrics that we see in politics today, once we get past that, we'll actually see that both aisles actually have reasonable people representing us. Unfortunately, they just get drowned down because of the theatrics that are played by the more popular, the mainstream politicians. So I think this is good news because, like the episode we did for Senator Elizabeth Warren, who is trying to stop corruption and lobbying in government and at least mitigate the effects of it at minimal, we see more congressmen, more senators, more representatives in general actually working for the people. And I believe that this right here is a small step that can lead to good things and also make the government in and of itself more transparent on how it spends our money. And so that way we don't have another $1.6 billion just sitting there not being used. So that's the article for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys got something out of it. And if you like what you saw or heard, please pass it along to a friend if you think they can get something out of it. Rate and review on Apple Podcasts and subscribe to the YouTube channel A Better World. And if you guys have any suggestions on an episode you would like me to cover, please let me know, just as long as they are actually showing improvements or just signs of improvement. And so that's the episode for today. Thanks for tuning in. You guys have a great day. Bye.